Good morning. Real quick. Hope you're all doing well. I am trying something new. Feel me? Nothing complete out the ordinary. Gonna test the audio. Feel me? Beautiful. My first mukbang. Actually had to look it up just so I didn't misspell it and call it something that it's not. But last full day in Florida. I'm in Miami. By far the most expensive hotel I've ever stayed in. It took me all morning to get this lighting right. This view is absolutely amazing. 12th floor, overlooking the Atlantic. Corner, sweet, you feel me? Not cheap by any means. Got some room service this morning, so I was like, you know what? Let's spice it up. Let's try something different. So that's what we're doing. Nothing deep. Obviously, it's a ask me anything type thing. We're gonna try this morning. Just fooling around. But yeah, this is very nice establishment. Fontainebleau, Miami Beach. See everything from cruise liners to jet skis to the Coast Guard to random planes going by. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, I have yet to leave this room since I got here. Went downstairs to work out, came right back up. I have no incentive to leave this room. These type of rooms are dangerous for people like me because I will not leave. The view tends to pay for itself. I'm lost for words. Woke up this morning to sunrise, to the ocean, and then obviously it's a beautiful resort downstairs as well. So, yeah, I'm gonna verify a couple things. The stream seems to be going quite well. Interesting. The Wi-Fi here is absolutely amazing. Obviously, you're paying for it. I mean, by no means is anything here free. But yeah, your mind tends to be so clear in environments like this. The more you spend in any environment, the less people there are, but also the greater the differences in people that you encounter. Absolutely amazing. Let's see what we got. I specifically told those people. Yeah, we got two omelets, egg whites, ham, bacon, and onions. And we're going to break bread all the way. Let's see what we got. This is my fire. You see me sketch art. Let's see what we got in the chat. John D. Interesting question. So John D asks, he says, let me start off by saying that I love the channel and your words of wisdom and experiences. My question to you, sir, is expectations versus reality when taking college courses and active duty. A couple things. So a lot of people bring up the issue of, will I have enough time to go to school full-time, active duty? And the answer, of course, is yes. Absolutely, yes. You'll have more than enough time to go to school. The issue is most people do not wake up planning their day, which is part of the problem. People say that they don't have enough time in their day, but then they wake up an hour before work. And then as soon as they get home, they do whatever they want to do, which is cool. But again, you have 24 hours a day, 8 of it, typically you spend sleep, 8 of it, depending on your career field, you'll spend at work. So you're stuck with 16, just off the rip, off the pure existence. And then after that, you have priorities. So expectation will be that you would work your 8 hours, again, depending on your career field, get off work, and then just have the rest of the day, to do whatever. hour or two, go to schoolwork. Well, that's not typically how that works, mainly because you have to account for your energy. You have to account for where you're stationed, job tempo, traffic. You have to account for family, whether or not you have a wife or children or a husband. There's all these different variables you have to account for, and most of it happens inconveniently. So typically you wake up, and your day kind of gets away from you. And it's why I prioritize my mornings. The first 5 hours of my day, I have to prioritize that over everything else. Least life take over and life get away from me, where I'm just kind of reacting the rest of the day. Happens to everyone, including myself, actually. Because there's some mornings where the coffee seems not to work, and you're kind of stuck. You're up early, but your energy's not there. I took my Uber to the rent-a-car place from my crib, my friend's crib. The guy was a former Marine, just retired, did 17 years, got injured, so he got the early retirement. He's driving Uber and starting school now. He's talking about like buying property. He had a real interesting perspective, especially from a Marine standpoint, of like his regrets. It was mostly financial, because I asked him directly, did he have any regrets, over his 17 years in the Marines? And he said no. And that's the typical response you get from most people is, no, I would not change anything. I did everything the way I would want to do it. But the one thing he did say he regretted was just the amount of money he wasted on status symbols. Makes sense. And it's one of my struggles I have, because as you can see from just this, what you're viewing right now, quality is becoming a acquired taste for me, a required variable to be accounted for. There's something about quality that changes your whole view of this world. There's something about quality establishments, quality conversation, quality vehicles, quality maintenance, clothing, direct count on sheets, silk, there's something about quality that obviously it costs money. it costs money. And it's that place I'm in, that balancing between first impressions, reputations, and of course, lasting impressions, and then tying that in with patience, because at no point do you want to enter a space where you're spending so much on status symbols that you overcome, the patience aspect, and you start outliving your means, if that makes sense. Spending more than you make. It is my goal, and I should be posting a video about this today. I edited it earlier. When I take leave, I very intentionally grab my camera and go wherever I'm going. But it is my intention to live like a king for however long I'm on leave. And I talked about this in my last live stream in Key West, about exposing myself to alternative lifestyles. Nothing to do with morality, of course. That's where my mind went when I said it. But when I look around in this environment, it's $1,000 a night environment. I don't belong here. At least not where I currently work. The Air Force. They talk about 5-star, hotels for the Air Force. The Army gets the tents, and the Marines get the concrete, whatever is laying around. This is something I've never experienced. Is $1,000 a night environment. Also, this view is probably worth $1,000 as well. Especially the corner suite, like amazing. Downtown Miami, you're in the heart of everything. But I do this intentionally. I'm going back to Alaska, and of course, for the last 72 hours or so, I've had, just anxiety about going back there. I'm like, I do not want to go back to Alaska for anything. When I finally PCS from Alaska, there is nothing up there that, I don't care how beautiful it is. No. So dealing with that reality, it's those, I know it's awaiting me. I know exactly what's awaiting me, and it's not gonna be fun. You know, it's probably -10, -12 up there right now. It's 70 down here. You know, sunny. It's gonna be dark up there. You know, but it's moments like this that, and especially when I document, that's really the whole thing. Is when I document, I bring this energy back with me, so I'm able to watch these vlogs. I don't rewatch my vlogs often. There's some vlogs that I just love the editing, so I'll go back and rewatch it a ton. But environments like this, it's encouraging to when I go back to those unhappy places, which is my current place, honestly. But by realizing that the Air Force funded what I'm experiencing now, you know, I trade my stability for those risks that eventually give back to me, you know, dividends. And that's really the mindset of anybody in the military, you know, long term, is that you have to see the value of where you're at, what you're getting in return, because it's not always apples for apples, you know. But for me, especially taking leave, 25 days of leave, first of all, I'm grateful just to be able to take the leave because, you know, COVID was acting a fool. But the opportunity, you give me an opportunity to take leave, you give me an opportunity to leave Alaska, I will live like a king for as long as you give me, which I zeroed out my balance, my leave balance. I have nothing left. So obviously we go back to the grind. We go back to, you know, trying 2:30 a.m. This omelet is fire. I'm not sure if I'm gonna eat the potatoes. We got some coffee though. This might be the bougiest thing I've ever posted on YouTube. Let me see. They put cream in my coffee. Who we got in the chat? Tasha? See, the Lord rebuked Tasha openly. Still hot. How? Tasha says, little brother Ray Ray. Aha! Miss you. Super proud of your accomplishment. Hey, much love. Appreciate you. Flashy lifestyle playboy. Not at all. Not at all. Patu 2. Not at all. Tasha, where are you stationed at? I don't even know if you're still in the military or not. Where you at? There's a lot of Alabama fans in the lobby. You're in Italy? You know what? That's the problem with the Army. They get all the good spots. I need to come visit though. If I were to try to recap the last 25 days I've been on leave, I've spent so much money. It's been so worth it. I've tried the most expensive steak. They say, well, it's about the second most expensive steak in the world. In comparison, I guess is Ragu beef. No, because I had Wagyu. And there's one steak that's right above that. I can't think of the name. This is by far the most expensive hotel I've ever stayed in. It's worth it. Let me know, Tasha. Let me know. No COVID ain't gonna stop me. As long as they approve and leave. So WB, this place a night was 700. And then I got the 6 p.m. checkout because I'm greedy. Got a flight tonight at 9:30. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to spend, 8 hours driving around the city. I've seen Miami. I've been here 4 or 5 times now. I've seen Miami. So I'd rather spend it in a quiet, beautiful environment overlooking the ocean before I got to go deal with the airport. It's very pricey. A lot of people don't realize, like, when I spend money like this, it's an investment. First of all, on YouTube, because, obviously you get paid. So it's like a reimbursement plan. It's like getting cash back on your credit card. Just hit 11,000 subscribers this morning. Appreciate you, ISMR DC. It's amazing view. That cruise. There's a cruise liner out here. It's been there all night. Jet skiers, fishing boats. The planes are like level with the room. We're 12 stories up, or 12th floor rather. And the planes look like they're cars, like right next to the building. But the number one thing I love about this place the most, first of all, ceiling to floor windows, but the fact that it's a corner suite that you just get both sides. You can see the resort, surrounding buildings, a little bit of downtown, and then also just pretty much a 120-degree view of the ocean. Yeah, what was that question that I was talking about? TJW4 Unk 93. If you remind me, I know there was like 2 other gentlemen that had questions I didn't get a chance to answer. Got you, Tosh. I mentioned also my last live stream that I was able to get my orders changed. As far as I know, I'm not going to announce it now, but as soon as it's more concrete in nature, there'll be a separate video. But by all means, Jesus, shout out to my leadership. They definitely been bugging me while I've been on leave. No real emergencies, but just stuff. Things that my predecessors didn't do. Now it's on my plate. So, Black Hollow 777. I need you to ask a more specific question, a quality question. Maybe based on what you value. Maybe based on something that that you're currently upset with that you want possibly to adjust. But yeah, vague questions. It's probably the enemy to no question. It's just a vague question. Yeah. This whole channel is pretty much a channel based on the Air Force, although I plug in a lot of philosophy and cosmology, physics, but okay. How to give negative feedback. So one thing I struggle with in regards to giving negative feedback is I tend not to. And it can be viewed two different ways. One way could be seen as a fear of confrontation, and not so much that it's fear, because fear tends to be thrown in, as the wrong word, but a lack of interest in confrontation, mainly because the end result tends not to be what I would desire. So it really comes from selfishness, if I'm being honest. So personally, when I have to address something that I don't enjoy in my current environment, I leave, walk away, leave it alone. I let people be the way they are, and I walk away and I mind my own business. Is that the right method? I don't know. It's not for me to say because it really depends on what the desired end result is. For me, it's going to be peace. That's why I travel alone. Because I value peace. When I wake up, I want to see the ocean and hear air conditioning. There will be no questions. There will be no random nothing. So yeah, it really just comes down to what your desired end result is. If you want someone to change, first of all, most people tend to use shame. You see it in society constantly. You see it in politics, where someone, it's mostly seen on social media, where shame by volume, by quantity, but no amount of shame can get someone to change completely. In most cases, you get someone to conceal their actions or their beliefs, their words. So shame doesn't work. But if you really want to get someone to change or to address their way of thinking or the way of living, you ask them questions. This is why I'm such a big fan of quality questions, is that it's not my job to teach you anything. It's not my job to make you believe in what I'm doing or to believe in my path or what I believe or my system. It's not my job. But if I were to try to help you, first of all, and it's something that I posted on Twitter, the guaranteed sign that somebody wants your advice, especially in regards to changing or adjusting or improving or growth, they will ask you a direct question. And it's something I really had to address as far as especially YouTube, because as someone who thinks and reads a lot and studies, I'm real quick to have an answer for everything. And that gets annoying very quickly. If I'm being honest with myself, it gets annoying very quickly to be that person that always, well, instead of doing that, you should just, what you need to do. And actually, you was wrong over there. No. I started making YouTube videos to where now I get paid for having an opinion, and people that want to hear me talk will come find me. People that want to hear my idea, they will search for it and click on it. Instead of just anybody in my environment, I just talk to them and try to make them think the way I'm thinking. No, that's how you run people off. God knows how many friends constantly just giving unsolicited advice. No. A question is a sign to give your advice, a direct question. So that's really my thought process on giving feedback, is that sometimes it's not your job. Sometimes it's not your position to tell somebody about themselves. Sometimes you should ask questions. Just a thought. What other questions we got? I know I saw my guy in here. He always has some mystery man. I know mystery man in here always got some quality questions. You feel me? He always be in here heavy with it. Tasha in here dropping game. By the way, Tasha Williams is an E7, I believe, in Army. Stationed in Italy currently. Mystery Man asks, do you believe in the concept of being an alpha or beta male? If so, what do you think you are? Mystery Man, you is different. Yes. So it's quite simple, kind of. In any given environment, I like questions like this. In any given environment, you will, especially in ALS, one thing we learned was the difference between a team and a group. Obviously, a team just requires direction. A group is just people, assembled and given, square footage. But the second you give that group a goal or direction to go in, they become a team. Obviously, depending on individuals' priorities. If their goal is for everyone to make it, everyone to get there efficiently, effectively, typically everyone works together. So with that being said, hierarchies will develop in any team or group of individuals that are assembled and typically are not leaving that environment. Let's say an island, a landmass such as a continent, a state, an organization, a workplace, a company, a military environment. A hierarchy is automatically going to develop based on abilities, based on talents, based on wisdom, based on strength, based on height, based on beauty, based on effectiveness. Hierarchies automatically develop whenever there's a group of people or animals. You see this same in the nature. There's a hierarchy, and honestly, you could push it towards the direction that even in a group of things, non-animate objects, there's a hierarchy of what's better, what's more efficient, what's more effective. It depends on what the goal is. So, in regards to myself, I consider the terms alpha and beta to be almost the equivalent to introvert and extrovert. They're quite similar in measurements. Obviously, it's semantics at the end of the day for me, at least. There's different labels to address what's ideal in a certain way, in a certain environment, that, oh, this person's alpha because they're loud. Well, how is volume necessary to any environment? It really depends on the circumstances. Someone who's loud and boisterous and assertive and direct might be more valued than someone who's quiet and observant, or timid, or meek, or just silent, or doesn't talk often. Their quantity is less. They believe in quality of conversation versus quantity. It depends, and it also depends on the observer. If I'm alpha, if I'm more dominant in comparison to another, if I'm more aggressive than someone else, then I might look at someone who's just like me to be alpha when we could both be beta. It really just depends. And I hate giving answers like it depends, honestly, because it's almost like avoiding the question. So I'm going to attempt to answer it directly. Let's just work on ourselves currently. Do you believe in the concept of being alpha or beta? Yes, I do. I believe alpha exhibits one extreme, meaning it's really easy to just look at the animal kingdom. There's a couple things you can look at: strength, speed, effectiveness, especially in regards to hunting, survival. Jordan Peterson speaks of one's ability to be virtuous comes from one's ability to be dangerous, and that you need the option to be dangerous in order to have virtue. Because if you can't be dangerous, if you can't pose a threat to anyone else, you can't be by default virtuous. That's your only option. So if you look at a lion and the way they operate in comparison to the female lions in their pride, you see a clear difference. The way they handle themselves, the way they interact with other male lions, there are certain traits that are exhibited to the male, although typically they're the only male. But to remain the only male, they have to be alpha. And then you have the opposing side where the losing male, those who are not effective, those who are not, able to defend or, to pose a threat to another alpha lion. You have that difference. A lot of people don't want to live in a world where you have to compete. Especially those who are joining the military, you realize there's a hierarchy. There's an alpha, in terms of military, presence. You got some countries that show up with 2 boats. And that's not enough to even deal with one Marine. One Marine in the United States Air Force equals about 3 boats for, a dusty country. There's a hierarchy. And a lot of people, individuals don't want to think that they're part of a hierarchy and that there's measurements, there's rankings. The Air Force will bring you down to earth real quick as soon as you realize that you have to compete to promote. I'm sure that's quite universal, slight variations across the branches, but you have to compete in most areas to get what you want. It's something that is constantly on my mind when I'm in these type of environments where I realize it's expensive to live in luxury and quality environments, and that I have to compete with everyone else. The Air Force it's not a place you come to get rich. The Air Force is a place you come to for stability, and then from the stability you take risks, such as starting a podcast or a YouTube channel or investing. There's plenty of different ways to get rich. To me, being rich is simply having a low debt to income ratio and growing with that same percentage. So keeping your expenses low, but increasing the income, or keeping the same percentage of debt to income and growing. You'll notice you have more options the more money you make. The less debt you have, the more money you make, the more options you have. What is options? Time and resources. If I couldn't take leave, I wouldn't be able to enjoy these things. Even if I had the money, I would still be in Alaska. But you need time and resources to pair together in order to experience certain things. So to answer your last part of your question, Mr. Man, what do I think I am? I think like alpha in most cases. But depending on the environment, depending on the authority in place, if I'm in a military environment, I'm not the alpha male in an environment. I'm not. There's such thing as leverage, meaning that I can have power over someone based on the variable circumstances at play. But in most cases, in a military environment, I'm the top dog. First of all, I'm enlisted. Secondly, I'm not even the highest rank in the enlisted side. So that there's hierarchy based on position, based on insignia, based on pay grade. But then in the civilian world, you see there's a different hierarchy out here where the highest ranked general reports sometimes to a civilian. It's different. So it can be a mindset, it can be a perspective of how one sees themselves. But the second you leave your house, you leave your own head, you leave your room, and you go out to the real world, you're going to realize there's a different hierarchy, a different set of rules, different authority in place, and that you must fall in line, and compete. Great question. Does the Air Force also have watch duties? If so, what do they consist of? By watch duties, if you're referring to staying up all night, like CQ, sitting at a desk, monitoring a door, we do up to tech school. And then there's the operational side, which is security forces where they guard a gate. But for the most part, it ends in tech school where you might be on 12-hour CQ, sitting at a desk, Matthew Jones asks, where are you at right now? A hotel room? Yes, I am in a hotel room. I am in Fontainebleau, Miami Beach, Miami, Florida. What else we got? We got some good questions coming in. Almighty Moreland asks, is that wine? Yes, this is. So I'm not a huge fan of the hotel room bars, but of course I had to partake. You live once. Going back to Alaska. That's been my excuse this whole time I've been on leave is going back to Alaska, live it up. Red wine blend, Fontainebleau. Probably can't see it. I'm not gonna partake. I definitely sipped last night. Took the cup. You feel me? What else we got? Tara Green says, and he didn't pose it as a question, but I'm going to take it as one. I'm going to take it as a challenge to my intellect. Those who do not understand true pain, they can never understand true peace. Those who do not understand true pain can never understand true peace. I must agree. I agree. You see this everywhere. Social media is almost like social media is trying to create a new reality. But then once they leave social media, they go back to the actual reality. And there's certain group of people that are trying to make them the same. One day they might be. One day we might all just be locked up in a ice cold freezer where we live through our minds and we live through some alternate form of, virtual reality. And then they will be the same. But as long as we leave our houses and drive to work and drive to, the restaurant and drive to the store to adult, there will always be a reality, an actual reality, and then a virtual reality, which tends to only exist on social media where people want everything to be equal, safe, tame, fair, and that's not how life works. People die. Like, people don't realize how dangerous this world actually is. I'm on the 12th floor of a skyscraper, essentially, and I'm living on the pure faith that someone did their job on the foundation, that there's not a screw missing on the 6th floor. That somebody didn't get lazy one day and said they had a rough day at home, and they're dealing with stuff, so they came in and halfway glued something together. I don't know. I have a lot of faith that somebody did their job. This building's been here this long, but it could collapse right now, right over into the ocean, and I'll be with the sharks. It's just reality. A lot of things that we would like to control, a lot of things that we would like not to be, present, such as evil, such as injustice. We can't control that. It's unfortunate. But yeah, Derek Green, I agree. It's a good observation. I think I made so many videos on pain. Back Mac asks, what does your channel command think of YouTube channel? I don't know specifically what they think. They will have to actually communicate that, and then I have to assume that, to be honest. But they are aware of it. That's one of the first things that came up. Man, it was organic as well. Well, one thing I love doing is that my channel, I don't try to tell people about my channel. I like people to find it and then come tell me about it. It's just natural that way. But yeah, my leadership are definitely aware. We had conversation about it. My leadership also, my commander. Jesus. Y'all stand by.
Hello?
No, thank you.
You're not leaving?
6 p.m. checkout.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. You guys ever watch what's Family Guy? I think it was Patrice O'Neal did a skit about it too. It's like housekeeping will beat your door down trying to get in to clean your room. Like just a level of urgency that you've never seen before. Something comparable to SWAT. They will bust down your door trying to get in to make your bed. Hey, hello? I'm like, bruh, chill, bruh. The door was locked. They just walked in. I could have been chest naked. Oh, that's good. I'm like, goodness, people didn't even give me a chance to even answer the door. Like, 2 knocks. Oh, yeah. Let's see what else we got. Daryl Green says, just by living, people hurt others without even realizing it. So as long as humanity exists, hate will also exist. There is no peace in this cruel world. War is just a crime paid for the pain of the defeated. Is that a quote? Is that your own quote, Daryl? You might be on something. You're right, though. There's a default requirement. Apple's a perfect example. Apple is under fire for, having child labor or slave labor. One of those two. Obviously, in distant countries, snapping together iPads and iPhones for their cult following. And it's interesting, something that we just think is normal. I don't think anyone owns an iPhone older than like the 7 or 8. I personally don't partake. We Android over here. You feel me? But it's interesting. Something that's normal to us, something that occurs normally. Like maybe this food, this tray, this setup, this hotel. God knows who's suffering. Logistically because of this. And a lot of us don't want to think about that. I mean, it's something you have to acknowledge. Somebody put your phone together in a sweatshop. Somebody put your shirt together. We don't want to think about those things, but there are some realities that we have yet to address, and it's probably one click away on YouTube somewhere. TDT Van asks, does GPA matter when it comes to joining the Air Force? I'm 18. I'm planning on joining the Air Force. I graduate. It would not matter unless you're going officer. So GPA in regards to a college education would matter because it is competitive to go officer. But going Air Force, as long as you have that certificate of graduation, you should be straight. Daryl Green says religion, ideology, resources, land, spite, love, or whatever the reason is enough to start a war. A lot less, a lot less than that is required, but you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Super chat, Anthony Morales, my guy. Air Force boot camp compared to others, 1-10 scale. If the Marines are 10, the Air Force is 1. Well, again, it's relative to the individual. I struggled mentally, not physically, not effectively, but just mentally. The length, it gets old. You're dealing with people and stuff, and just obedience. It's not hard, but it's just 8.5 weeks of being in the same room. Like in here, it's quiet, it's peaceful, it's a beautiful view. I woke up, to peace. Whereas there, you wake up to a trumpet, and you wake up to noise and yelling and people rushing to make beds, and then it's a bunch of other men in the same room. Like, I don't want to be in that type of environment. So it's those different variables you have to deal with. So it is what it is. It's not difficult in that sense. It is different. It's different than what you're used to. It's different than being at home. It's different than going to a hotel or a restaurant or a hotel. You've never encountered basic military training because it was designed for a certain purpose. So you won't encounter this randomly. Like you would never stumble upon a basic military training environment. You have to go there and experience it. So on the scale of 1 to 10, Marines would probably be a 10 if we're maxing out the scale. And then the Air Force would probably be on the opposite spectrum. But to give the Air Force some credit, it'll probably be a 3 or 4. With the Army, probably Army and Navy probably be in 5 or 6. No, okay, so Marines will have to go down probably like 7 or 8. And of course, this is just my perspective, my observations. And then, special operations will probably be around 10. They're trying to make you quit, whereas the other branches are trying to grow you and help and kind of push you through. The Navy SEALs, the Green Berets, the Rangers, so they're trying to make you quit, which is different. And you got the super chat. Thoughts of a 26-year-old just joining? Bad move? Not at all. I joined at 23, turned 24 in basic training. Not a bad move at all. What I will say is that your reasoning needs to be well-founded, and you need to have a plan. I'm not saying that you need to have your life planned out all the way to age 75, just every meticulous detail itemized, but you need to have a path in mind, meaning I'm going to use the military for this end result: education, financial stability, what have you, traveling, whatever. Have a plan in place. It really doesn't matter your age. The age is just how long you've been on this earth. That's all it's there to measure, is how long you have been alive on this earth. Most people try to apply your age to your fitness or to your health. Obviously, there's a level of entropy, or you degrade over time. That's just how this world works. The science, was not designed by a human. It's designed by somebody else. So in this environment, as you age, certain things will tend towards disorder, but you still have control of certain variables that can delay that process. So age is not meant to tell you what you should or should not do. Age is a measurement of how long you've been here. Now, when it comes to wisdom, you can be young and be a billionaire. You can be old and be broke. Age has nothing to do with wisdom. Age is a measurement. So just keep those things in line and just, develop a plan. Take some time, sit down and write down, this is what I'm going to do with my life. This is the path I'm going in, and then go from there. Mystery Man asks, what defines a good friend in your eyes? Someone who will correct me. Someone who is not, afraid of confrontation. Someone who cares about my betterment more than my comfort. Someone who's more than willing to tell me when I'm wrong. Someone who's willing to admit when they're wrong. A friend is one of the most rarest things you ever come across in your life. It's one of the most rarest people that you will ever come across in your life. I trust most enemies more than I trust friends, because at least an enemy will do what they're supposed to do, and they're predictable in that way. Meaning, if you backstab me, if you lie about me, those things I expect those things from you. But when it comes from an ally, someone who said one thing but did another, that's where it hurts the most typically. It's why cheating in a relationship is way more difficult than if you have friends with benefits and you guys have an understanding and you talked about this openly, and then you're both doing your own thing. There's levels, and the honesty, and the deception is the main variable there, because a friend is measured by their level of deception. I prefer somebody who will admit being an enemy, who is against me at all fronts, than someone who is unwilling to correct me, someone who will watch me drive off the bridge, someone who watched me make a mistake because of a fear of offending me. No. So a good friend is very rare. There's not a lot of them go around, and there's not a lot of them for each individual to have their own. That's just reality. There are plenty of great human beings that are just liars. I mean, how far can you trust someone who's just willingly lies? So it's just something to think about. Good question, though. Storm asks, what would you say to your past self if you had the chance? That's a very good question. I'll probably say this. And I mean, obviously I typically don't have a lot of regrets, but there are some opportunities that I messed up that I wish I could do over. One thing I would tell myself, my former self, my younger self, that for every mistake I make, for every mistake you make, you lose options. And sometimes the option appears in the form of time. Sometimes for a mistake you make, you lose time. You see this physically in the real world, where if you make a mistake, break a law, you lose time. They take you to prison. You lose options, resources, relationships. It's reality. So, yeah. Wisdom is what I would give my former self, my younger self. Patience. Take your time. Measure happiness and realize it's a luxury early to follow. There's something I always talk about on this channel, as far as the one time in my life that I remember being completely happy, more not really content, but I woke up happy every day. And that was when I was working for myself, playing piano, going to church on Sundays. And that was my only job, was to play piano at church. And that was it. And I woke up every day happy. I woke up every day, slept in, watched Netflix, went to the gym around 12, 1, played basketball, worked out until they closed, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Went home, did it all over again. And honestly, today, I can't think of a time I've ever been happier. Now, in that same arena, I could have lived that out even more so and just built upon that foundation of happiness. I don't know if that would have worked. A lot of times your decision making, you don't know the alternative. You don't know what if you would have took the other route. What if I would join the Marines, not the Air Force? What if I would have got married at 20 instead of where I'm at now, where I'm single and childless and just doing my own thing? What would have happened if I would chose a different decision? Who really knows? You can't know. Let's say you and your friends start at the same time, same place, same age, same position in life. They make one decision, you make one decision. You try to play out, all right, so if I went that way, my life would turn out like that. You don't know that. One decision can change the entire direction of your life. One decision can derail you. So it's really hard to know, what if I would have adjusted this one thing? Would this have benefited me better in a different area? Who knows? It's not something that we can measure in this world. But yeah, patience. Telling myself, the things you want can be gotten a different way. You don't have to go to the Air Force to do this. I used to have a thought process where the only way I could take vacations is to be in the military. Not true. Sometimes you just need to know someone in the area that you're going to. First of all, it makes the trip a lot cheaper, makes it way more enjoyable that you're not alone. So yeah, the advice I'll give my younger self: patience, wisdom, avoid major mistakes, seek wisdom, seek mentorship, and then pay attention to areas that just require patience. Sometimes you don't need a ton of capital to do what you love. There's an article you should read by 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. And it kind of sparks me into YouTube. He just talks about how you don't need a million followers. You don't need 15 million, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube or just follower supporters to do what you love. Sometimes you just need 1,000 true fans. And honestly, that's what I'm working towards. It's just 1,000 people that believe in what I'm doing, that support me as an individual, who might believe in what I think and the way I live my life and just my thought process. 1,000. And that may just be a percentage. I don't think I have that currently. Even with 11,000 subscribers, I may have maybe 0.1%. And that's really the point. It's just, it's a journey. It's a journey, and you won't get overnight. But consistency is the goal in most things I do now. But yeah, be consistent is what I would tell my younger self. Stay in shape. Oh my goodness. Stay in shape. Do not lose. Do not lose it, because a lot of people don't realize that once you get older, it's not so much that the weight doesn't come off. It's not so much that you just don't go to the gym, because I go to the gym 6 days a week for the most part. It's the fact that your energy fluctuates. And honestly, it's controllable because my sleep stays the same for the most part. And as long as I eat correctly, avoid the sugar, my body performs and my energy stays pretty level. So it's a lot of variables that you're able to control yourself, but it takes proactiveness. It takes wisdom. Seek those things out. Great question. Hoodie Lee YT says, can you start the MEPS process before you graduate high school so that when you get out of school, you can leave for BMT as soon as possible? Probably not. You might be able to start the recruiting process while you're in high school, but the MEPS, I'm not sure you could do that. But that'd be a great question for a recruiter. Daryl Green says, wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this world. The longer you live, the more you realize that in this reality, only pain and suffering and futility exist. I would disagree with your absolute statement at the end. With the use of the word only, because to say that only pain, suffering, and futility exists, you're also saying that the opposite sides of those statements or those words, those terms, doesn't exist. So the absolute, value that you placed on that sentence kind of negates its value. Now, if you would have said, the longer you live, the more you realize that in this reality, the default nature of this world will be pain, suffering, and futility, and then we have the opportunity to change. That's different. Obviously, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but yeah, by making an absolute statement and saying that only pain, only suffering, and only futility exists, that negates love immediately. You take away any existence of love, of comfort, of empathy, of passion. Things that have a positive connotation to it. So, words have great value, and it's important that we pay attention to the words that we use. Mystery Man asks, which is more important, to be respected or liked? This would be directly related to your end result, your desired result. If I want to be respected, there are certain things I'm willing to forego, but my result tends to remain at respect, and I can't merge into different lanes if I'm not liked. Let's see how I can make an analogy to this. In the workplace, when I go to work, I want to be respected, period. If I want to be invited somewhere after work, if I want to hang with people I work with, if I want to be invited to parties and hangouts and to get drinks, I want to be liked. I have to be liked, because just because you respect someone doesn't mean that you want to spend your free time with them. Those are two different values. If I want a job done the right way, I'm going to go to someone I respect. If I want to have a good time and enjoy myself, I'm going to go to someone I like. My value for liking someone, it's going to be based on typically comfort, typically based on similarities. My respect for someone is based on metrics in most cases. It's based on end results, effectiveness, efficiency, measurements. So science versus nature, if that even makes sense. Great question. What would you regret if you died tomorrow? I didn't spend more money. I didn't spend all my money, all of it, every penny. There will be no U-Haul behind my hearse. You hear me? When I leave, I'm taking all of it. What would I regret if I died tomorrow? If I'm being honest, because obviously, I want to be honest. Before, let me take the cup real quick. Let me see. If I die tomorrow, what would I regret? Because most people give the answer that I wish I would spend more time with family. I don't have that default answer to give. It may sound bad. Maybe I'm a bad person. I don't have the answer as far as I don't have a default answer to give to you that would be good to hear. Because my answer would be, I wish I would have saw more of the world. I wish I would have saw more of the world with beautiful people. And beautiful being mostly or both physically and socially. That's what I want. I will regret the time I spent in the Air Force that I wasn't able to leverage it fully, meaning because I died tomorrow, I would have less time, which means the time I put into the Air Force would outweigh the time I've spent not in the Air Force or not on a plane somewhere, traveling the world. That's my honest answer. I don't have that thought process of I wish I would spend more time with family, and that's all I want to do is just spend time with family and have children and have a family and stay in one town the rest of my life. That's not my story. It's not my ambition. It's not what I want. What I want is to explore. I want to live a life of adventure. And it's partly what I'm doing in the Air Force is I'm trying to get there the most efficient way possible, which means accruing as least amount of debt as possible, letting someone else pay for my journey to get there. It's not easy. It does take time to get where I'm trying to go in the route that I'm going with. But that's my honest answer. Travel the world with amazing people, with beautiful people, with people that make me feel good about myself, with people that make me excited to be alive. That's why I come to Florida so often. You guys constantly see vlogs of me coming to Southern Florida. My boy from high school lives down here. He lives with his girlfriend. And I love coming down here. They are always ready to go do something. If they have a suggestion, let's go here. I said, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Hurry up. Let's go. If I have an idea, they're ready to go. No debates. No. Let me see if I can pull together some. They got their money. They make way more money than I do. They're always they're ambitious. They're happy. They're exciting people to live around. I would love to travel the world with them. Third wheel is an interesting place that I constantly find myself in, but I don't mind it. First of all, it's way cheaper. Play some third wheel. So yeah, that's my answer. It's probably not the most, nurturing thing to say, but it's my honest answer. Let's see what else we got. Super chat by Christian Montgomery. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the love. What are your goals in the Air Force, big dog? Also, what's your MOS? Do you plan on cross training? My goals in the Air Force are to leverage the Air Force and its resources in order to get what I desire, which I just talked about in the last question, as far as traveling, getting my options, having no one to report to. So if that means I have to serve 20 years to get the guaranteed retirement, I'll take it. If that means that I serve long enough to get my YouTube to a place that it can support me in the lifestyle that I want to have, so be it. So be it. My goal of the Air Force is to leverage it as best as possible. While the government's getting what they need from me, I'm going to get what I need from the Air Force. And through that exchange of value, we both benefit. What's your MS? I am Finance 6F0X1 051. One of those. Finance. And then, do you plan on cross training? Yes, that's the current place I'm in right now. Trying to cross train. Yeah. Appreciate the super chat. Greek 18 says, should I tell MEPS about some antiviral medication I took 2 months ago? Also of caution. It is documented, and my doctor said I didn't need to tell them. I'm worried about the whole fraudulent enlist. I made plenty of videos on this. I cannot tell you what to do. I will not tell you what to do. I will not advise you what to do. I will only shed light on the potential outcomes of your decision making. And some of the outcomes are not immediate. Some people lie, get caught immediately, get DQ'd immediately. Some people lie and they get in, they graduate basic training, and it comes up later. Some people don't say anything in MEPS. It comes up during basic training. They either start over or get sent home. There's plenty of outcomes, plenty diverse outcomes that could potentially happen. It is not my job to tell you what to do. It is my job to shed light on the outcome, potential outcomes. And as long as you're okay with the outcome, that's your business. I'm not going to tell you to go against what your doctor said. I'm not going to tell you what to go, in regards to what your recruiter might say or what MEPS might do. That's not my job. Wisdom is what this channel is trying to get across, is that you should be predicting the outcomes of your decision making. All potential outcomes. And as long as you're okay with living with the anxiety of one day they might come get you, or they could never find out. It never comes up. Who knows? You might get away with it. The same amount of chance that you might get caught. So it's not up to me. I'm not going to advise you on that. But you need to be okay with the possible outcomes on that. That's my take. If I could retire in any country, where would it be? I'm not well traveled enough to answer this question. So if I were to choose between the countries I've already been to, it would probably be Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Such a fun city, fun place. It's pretty much all brand new. It's sparkling. It's beautiful. The energy, the environment. It's a tourist location. Tourist region. Can't beat it. Besides retiring there, or New York City, or somewhere else like Houston, Dubai definitely ranks up there. Was top 3 cities and countries rather. So yeah, probably Dubai. Your imagination runs wild when you're there. It's something about Dubai that you can't. It's not tangible. It's also present in New York City, where you feel the sense of adventure, the sense of possibilities, probabilities. You feel the sense that you could experience something new, a new experience. A quality experience. You have all the different options. From luxury to, hippie. You have all the in betweens. Everything from pizza to luxury dining. Ground floor, basement living versus a penthouse overlooking the city. You got the beach, ocean views, city views. You have all these different variations. That's why I love New York City, why I love Dubai. It's the variation, the options, the resources. So obviously the US is I'm grateful to live here. It's not perfect by any means. Neither is anywhere else perfect. So Dubai and New York City will probably be my 2 locations that I would love to retire in. What is one mistake that you will never make again? Daryl Green. What is one mistake that I will never make again? That's a good question. That's a good question. One thing comes to mind, and this answer will probably evolve as I begin answering it. Making decisions based on money. Money alone, money by itself, is not reason enough to do anything. There are far more consequences that tend to accompany a given decision. And that when you run to make a rash decision purely based on financial compensation, it tends to end in regret. Cutting corners comes to mind as well, which ties into money. Whatever reason you can come up with to cut a corner, it's probably going to end disastrous. There are no benefits to cutting corners. There are no benefits to quitting. So quitting would be on that list. Cutting corners would be on the list. Making decisions solely based on money. Cutting people off. Burning bridges will be on that list. I do not burn bridges. I do not cut people off. You see it on social media memes constantly. I cut you off in a hot second. Cool. But this world, the people in this world are how you make things happen. It's how you overcome adversity is with people. It's how you solve problems. Favor comes from people. A lot of variables at play. What else? I will never vacation for more than 3 or 4 days by myself in a place I've never been to. The reasoning for that is when I went to Los Angeles, I went there around this time last year. Went to Los Angeles and Vegas and that whole region of the country. And I spent about 12 days just by myself, which again, it was fun. But the way I am and how structured I am, I ran out of things to do in about 3 days. So I was there for a total of 12, but I ran out of things to do in about 3. And what I realized is that I can't be spending that much money because the quality of my experience degrades the longer I'm on vacation. The reason why I'm able to go 25 days here in Florida and not have to, live at the bottom of the barrel is because my pillars of my vacation are taken care of in the form of my best friend who lives down here and his girl. I'm able to stay in their guest room, and then they're gracious enough to let me use their cars. They're very generous and kind to allow me to be in that situation. So with that, I'm able to benefit long term, in terms of vacationing like that. But let's say if I was going by myself, I knew no one in LA, or I was going to a different country that was comparable to our U.S. economy, and I tried to stay in a hotel for 25 days and then rent a car for 25 days. You know how expensive that is? So, vacationing for more than 3 or 4 days to a place I don't know anyone, don't know a soul in the environment, where I'm footing the entire bill of rent a car and a hotel. No, those type of vacations are limited to 3 or 4 days where I'm actually able to maximize my experience in the form of environments like this. I can max out the hotel, max out the rental car, max out my experiences. I can pay for a helicopter ride, jet skis, all the different events because it's in a short span of time. It's not spread out over just maintaining my livelihood, such as shelter and a car. So, yeah, I don't have a deep answer. A major mistake. I haven't made a major mistake in my life that I can recall. Of course, that's not due to me. Is the wisdom of others and the mentorship and the grace of God. So, if I think of something, I'll come back to it and I'll make a separate video and include all the various clips. But yeah, that's a very good question. I know one thing I'll never do again is go hiking in Alaska, anywhere I don't have cell phone service. And anywhere where I'm alone. Never again. It happened once where I was late, showed up, and I was trying to play catch up, and led to me walking around the wilderness of Alaska by myself. No cell phone service. Never again. That's not happening. I will not get on the ocean with any vessel, not at least the size of a car. Not happening again. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I probably would never do again, but I don't have a major mistake. Yeah. Or, okay, here's one. Maybe the fact that, I always speak to when I was happy, living in Clarksville, Tennessee, playing piano. I tell that story so often. Even on this stream, I've mentioned it a couple times. I feel like I made a mistake in ignoring the fact of how content and how happy I was. That maybe I made a decision that was rash. Because joining the military, again, I talk about this often, how you gain financial stability almost immediately by joining the Air Force, by joining the military. And so even though my financial situation increased so thoroughly to a place where I'm actually stable, I can support a family if I choose to, I can take vacations if I choose to, I can get a new car if I want to, like all these different benefits of having financial stability, I lost that happiness that I once had, that zeal for life I once had, and I only experience it now on leave. I consider that a major mistake in my life, where I should have built on top of that instead of rushing to something that was completely opposite in terms of happiness, but it was so resource heavy. I don't think that was a bad decision, but I think it was a rash decision that I have till 39 to join the military. I could have gave myself more time doing the entrepreneurial thing that could have built, something. I don't know. I would never know alternative to my decision to join the Air Force. But yeah, it's something to think about as far as did I rush the process? Great question. Christian lived in Boca Raton 21 years. I see you. Yeah, Florida's amazing. Lauren Anderson says, since you've talked about possibly creating other vlogs separate from military content, would you want to do a specifically related to travel, a vlog channel or vlog related specifically to travel? I would like to. I don't think I travel enough to have enough content for that. Because if you look on this channel, I have over 100 vlogs that dated back to 2016 or so, 2017, of just vlogging, what have you. But I don't travel enough probably to have enough travel content for an entire vlog. That day is coming, definitely. Facts. That day is coming where I will actually live that out and start a complete just travel channel. But yeah, that there needs to be enough content for obviously the viewer, so it's something on my radar, but yeah, currently it probably doesn't apply. Christian, get your behind to the gym, train heavy. I see you. Daryl Green says, is the glass half empty or half full? It's both. Bruce Almighty, what are the best things you've experienced in regards to being a finance airman? Having the knowledge about your own finances and being able to anticipate, to prevent, and to actively affect your own finances in the moment. Yeah, the knowledge of being finance, it helps with your own finances. So you can check your own pay record. You can, request certain things be done on your pay record, and you have the knowledge in the background to support a quality decision concerning your own finances. So it definitely helps in that way. What are you addicted to that is legal? Great question. You might be leeching off my tweets. Sugar. Well, I'm not addicted to it because I haven't had it in a couple of days. Although it still might be addiction in terms of the frequency of coming back to it. I talked about this the other day, actually yesterday when I checked in. Right there, I took a picture. It's on Instagram. It's on the stories on this on YouTube channel. It's on Snap. It's on Twitter. It's a picture of the minibar where it has M&Ms and chocolate covered stuff, and I haven't touched it, which is quite abnormal when it comes to me because I love sugar. Also, caffeine will make that list, where I can't go a day. I can't go a day without coffee or with some form of caffeine. So caffeine and sugar definitely on that list. I think those were only two things I would be able to define as addictions, as long as the definition of addiction was left intact. Yeah. Good question. What do you have trouble forgiving yourself for? I would say not taking risks when I should have, especially in areas that I know it would have yielded the results that I needed, especially in regards to development, as a man, as a human, as a professional. cutting corners. There are certain corners in my life that I've definitely cut. And to this day, it's something that I constantly think about. Not maximizing certain moments in my life, basic training being one, tech school being one, moments where I was surrounded by so many opportunities that existed in people that I either did not invest or did not ask questions to get access to different people's experiences in life. Forgiveness is a very interesting term because you have to apply it to yourself as well, just as you've alluded to in your question. And honestly, I don't think a lot of us, pay as much attention to that reality as we should, as far as forgiving ourselves. How important is it to forgive yourself, to say, I messed up, I did something wrong, I missed opportunity, I did that wrong. There was opportunity for me to form a relationship. I should have asked the right question, a different question. I should have sought their happiness instead of my own in that moment. I should have sought my own happiness in that moment and not theirs. I should have said no in that moment. I feel like the longer we live, there will be no shortage of opportunities to forgive ourselves because we're going to miss the mark eventually. Something to think about. That's a great question, though. Yeah, I'm sure that list for me could be endless because, yeah, forgiving ourselves is almost like you have to go outside of yourself and give yourself empathy. You have to go outside of yourself, see yourself objectively, and say, I am imperfect. There's more in this world than just me, and that I'm a part of a demographic. I'm a part of a statistic, a group, a team, an industry, and that I have to give myself empathy just like I give to others. I have to be patient with myself. I make mistakes just like everybody else. I rush. I make bad decisions in a moment. I hate when I should love. I push away when I should accept. And as we live, the longer we live, we're going to have to address these things. And for me, one of my greatest fears is those moments where I should have forgave myself, it turns into regret at 75, 80 years old. It is what it is. Great question. Great question. That really made me kind of... that was deep. Oh, what else we got? This is fun, isn't it? I like that question. What are some things that are better left unsaid? Opinions in most cases, not in the form of a question. I'm not saying that you should be asking rhetorical questions, but meaning I spend a lot of my time observing the world, staying informed, forming opinions, but I only ask questions. You see most people that get in trouble are making statements. They're giving their unsolicited opinion to things that are none of their business. And, they pay a price. Is that price justified? That's not up to me. But again, if you see that a lot of my content stays on a particular path, I don't tend to veer off of much. I may touch on certain things, but certain things are just better left unsaid. Mind my business. I ask questions. I post a lot of thoughts to Twitter. Follow me on there if you want to see a lot of my day-to-day thoughts. But usually it's in a form of very vague, non-specific question that is designed for you to think for yourself. I'm not going to give you the answer. You're not going to get an answer from me. You're going to get typically a question that has built-in ramifications and assumptions. And of course, you can run with it as you will. Good question. Is there such a thing as an ideal government, and what would it look like? I'm probably going to avoid this question since I work for the government. Yeah, I'll leave that one there. I like this next one. Mystery Man says, is marriage relevant in today's society? This is a very good question. For obvious reasons. In order to answer this question, you have to address the intent, the original intent of what marriage is. And Upon doing so, you're going to realize that traditional marriage, as it was designed, as it was first intended, would not apply in an environment that is currently non-traditional in almost every area. It's like trying to apply. I almost said it. You almost got me live, YouTube. But we watch our mouths, upon doing so. Anyway, certain things are just out of date. It's like trying to apply dial up to a modern coffee shop. The two do not go together. It's why you don't find it. It's why anybody who tries to implement dial up Wi-Fi, dial up, cashier, systems, they will not last. They don't match. So I'm not gonna make a whole rant on marriage because I could easily do that. This is not the space for it. And again, as Daryl Green alluded, some things are better left unsaid. Some people need to learn via pain. There's plenty of other people talking about marriage, plenty of other people talking about stats and the success rate and the failure rate and the birth rate. And there's somebody talking about everything. This channel is not going to be that, although I do enjoy studying the topic. But a simple answer to your question would be, if marriage was designed, I'm going to answer your question with a question. So the question is marriage relevant in today's society? My question back would be, is marriage designed for to death do you part? And if so, how many marriages are making it to that assumption that if I marry someone, I'm supposed to marry them until death do us part? As long as there's one exception, the definition of marriage does not apply anymore to today's society. If you can come up with 10, 20, 30 exceptions to, I can leave this marriage because of these 102 things, what do the vows mean? What is the point of saying vows? If you can find 15 exceptions, it's as long as you didn't mean to get married the first time, it wasn't as long as there's exceptions, and there's too many exceptions, and you can make up a good exception, you just get the right lawyer, and no. So it seems that marriage has evolved into something that's not marriage, which is cool. Let's say we change marriages from a lifelong commitment to a lease term agreement. That would be dope. Like, maybe I'll dip my toe in a couple times, instead of getting married for, to death do us part, I will stay by your side. Instead of that, we go to lease agreements where for the next 3 years, we will say these perfect vows, for the ideal world that we don't live in. Then cool. 3 years sounds a lot more plausible and a lot more possible and probable versus I'm going to remain the same. I'm going to grow in the same direction you are. You're going to grow the same. You're going to stay the same. You're going to remain different, or our dynamic will never change until one of us dies. It doesn't look like that works. And if it does, show me. Because I'm honestly not a cynic. If I see evidence, if I see proof, which proof typically only exists in mathematics, but if I see evidence of something working, why not? But if you look around long enough, you're going to see that what we currently have and what we currently call marriage does not work. So that's just my thoughts. What else we got? Hello, sir. God bless you on your journey. Grandson's in Air Force 2 years in. He's been in Iraq for 2 weeks. Hey, blessings, Miss Williams. Blessings. Hope he's doing well out there. What else we got? Derek Green asks, what is my purpose? My purpose is whatever I'm doing currently. If you're referring to my passion, my direction, my path, they typically don't match what my purpose is. The purpose of a hammer is to nail. That may have to do with the design or the intended function of a hammer, but you can use a hammer for many different things. It's a very I like to answer these questions in the way that no one else answers these questions, because I hate the way people answer these questions. What is your purpose? Oh, my purpose is to, they come up with a lavish answer. but they did not address the meaning of what does purpose mean? What does the word purpose mean? Because a lot of us like to change the definition of purpose, and then we answer it with that different meaning. I'm like, no, you didn't answer the question. What is the purpose? Or what was the definition of purpose? The definition is whatever you're doing, in regards to a given environment. My purpose in the Air Force is to do finance, to solve financial problems, to prevent financial problems. That's my purpose in the military. My purpose right now in this hotel on the 12th floor overlooking the ocean is to provide value on this live stream. Your purpose is typically whatever problem you're solving right now. But the meaning of your life, that can be vastly different than what your purpose is. So yeah, I'll leave that there. When was the last time you cried? When I dropped my mom, my brother and sister off at their house, and I pulled out the driveway to go to the hotel before I left to go to Dallas and fly here from Texas. Last time I cried like a baby. I hate saying goodbyes and see you later, all that. It's honestly, it's why it's a lot easier just to stay away. Just have to deal with those breaks. What would you give life for? That answer will not ever have a question. Who will I give my life for? Family, close friends. That's about it. Yeah, I would never give my life for a thing, because that defeats the purpose, because I will never acquire it. I can never take possession of something I just died for. But for a person, that's the ultimate expression of love. And so I would show love to any one of my close friends or family, and even distant friends. I would probably die for just about anyone I could find a good enough reason for, because it's what it is. It's just the way I'm kind of built like that. So I would never give my life for a thing. What else we got? Bill Moon. So I'm actually working on that currently, to have a guest or a partner for the stream, or I actually did an interview Saturday. Yeah, I did an interview. It's on my phone here. I'm chopping it up for some extra clips and just some content. Somebody invited me to their channel, and so I did an interview there. And then of course, I plan on doing that on my own channel here in 2021. So I'm definitely looking up on creating another channel as well for diversity purposes, because this channel is pretty much going to stay where it's at in terms of the content, the way we go about producing the content, and the diversity of presentation may be different, but the content is pretty much going to stay the same. But my other channel I'm working on now will definitely have something different to the table for those who enjoy whatever I bring here. Great observation. Thank you. Also comment whatever you like to see, Bill Moon. I'm intrigued by your observation. Daryl Green, what do you fear most? I fear regret. Fear regrets. Victor Gonzalez, were you able to finally see a dolphin? No. Here, see, and I plan on writing a letter to the congressman, the congressman of Florida, probably the governor as well. I've taken 3 dolphin scene tours in my lifetime, and I've seen 0 dolphins. So we obviously have to run this up the chain. This is unacceptable. How many times I got paid $70 to simply drink on a boat? Which is, it's return on investment, but still. I ain't seen a damn dolphin nowhere. Goodness. If you could be granted one wish of any kind, what would you wish for? More wishes. More wishes. I was waiting on that question. Do you own crypto? Will Air Force ever consider holding crypto in its balance sheet? I don't own crypto. Clearly it's on 10 right now. It just hit like 40 grand right now. It's crazy, high right now. Will the Air Force ever adopt it? No, not in the near future, not in our lifetimes, probably not. We're still using paper. We're still using paper to do daily tasks. We're very grossly behind in terms of technological advances that are not vehicles. We are very behind. Our F-22 is top notch, nothing in comparison to it. But yeah, finance, we use paper. Personnel, we use paper. We're grossly behind. So crypto, yeah, we haven't maximized the dollar in terms of how we move it around. So no. Why do you practice Stoicism? It's because it's effective. It's effective. I'm not gonna go deep into this because I touched on it in another video, but yeah, Stoicism, it makes your results predictable. By practicing Stoicism, you're not flying off the handle, rushing to react. You're waiting for the proper response to come up, and by doing so, your results, your life tends to stay on track in the right direction. You're not just rushing to the nearest extreme to just get a response from the universe. Yeah, peace comes from knowing what is coming to your life. And when you can't plan those things, I like to plan my responses to ensure that there's a level of order that I can control in my own life. So yeah, Stoicism is definitely valuable. It keeps you grounded in truth, in the right direction, that you're not just kind of grasping for air. You're not grasping for answers everywhere. No, you take a second, you stop, and you respond. And that's the foundation of, at least from my path in life. Great question. What was something that you invested a lot of time into but ended up failing? I don't have anything, because anything I invest a lot of time into has worked. Hence, investing time into it. Anything that you're consistent with grows. I don't think there's any exceptions, rationally speaking, linear speaking. Yeah, anything I invest time into does not fail, which means if you do fail at something, did you invest enough time into it? Anything you invest enough time into, and enough being relative, you won't fail. So if you do fail, did you invest enough time into it? So yeah, it's like circular reasoning in that sense. How do you view your past? I can't control it, so it's valueless. It's only it's like a history book. It's only valuable if it's true, first of all, and then secondly, I can't control it. I can only learn from it. So either chicken spit the bones, take it for what it can be, an asset, in the sense that typically we tend to repeat our history, our past, and we bring those same things into our present based on the patterns, based on the habits, the character traits, the character flaws. So by acknowledging that we're typically the same person, just with slight variations, slight growth in the right direction, slight digressions in the wrong direction, we can realize that I must acknowledge my past, those mistakes I made. That's why I made those mistakes, how those mistakes came about to be. Who did I listen to? Who did I trust that caused me to make the mistake? By acknowledging those realities and those metrics and those systems, we're able to control the future, which again, the future does not exist. All we have is the present. So by activating my current present moment and by sowing into it, investing into it, I can control and predict my future with great amounts of accuracy, which is the whole point of wisdom. Great question. What emotion do you experience the most? What emotion do I experience the most? I don't think this would be I don't think it's an emotion. I would say it's a notification, which is the same category I place emotions in. So it's like pain. It's just like a neural response, if you will. Discomfort, probably. Discomfort is the most consistent, most constant in my life. In most cases, I'm uncomfortable. In most cases, I'm not at perfect peace. Right now, I am. I do have levels of anxiety because I have to go to the airport in 5 hours. And so I'm not anticipating that, even though I am. I'm not, glad to be going to the airport, dealing with, TSA and what have you. But yeah, those variables. Discomfort, probably the number one emotion that arises in my life, is that it's typically only two categories, and one tends to be on more than the other. Discomfort, and then there's comfort. So definitely discomfort would probably be number one emotion. it's probably the most beneficial as well, kind of like pain, is that if we were always comfortable, if we were always never experiencing pain, we would never know when something was wrong. So discomfort benefits me that it teaches me about myself more than it doesn't. It teaches me about what I value in this world. It teaches me about disorder that tends to cause discomfort, anxiety. I see a mess somewhere. When I see messiness, I can't relax in that. I can't go on vacation with a messy room, with a dirty car. There's certain things that discomfort gives back to you as well. Just like pain, it's long-term effective in terms of your growth, your preservation, your survival. Good question. Laura says, you go lease a woman like you lease a car. She definitely gonna have a public storage space. That wasn't the point, Lauren. Although it was a very flawed analogy. It is not my intent to lease anyone. But if I were to sign a contract with someone, that almost looks like a lease agreement, just a longer time frame. So who am I to call marriage a lease when I think they already do? It's just different semantics. It's not for me to say. What's the best advice you've ever given? 2 ways of learning: wisdom and pain. Pick one, because one is default. Pain is the one you come with. It's one you're born with. Wisdom is a choice. And so whenever I'm asked, because again, I try not to give unsolicited advice. It's not my job. It's not my position to run in search of people to talk to and say, hey, do this like I did it. And this is what I learned. This is how I failed. And no, if somebody asks for my advice, I'm going to tell them wisdom or pain. Are you Republican or Democrat? Neither. Mystery Man, what is your view on politics? It's a flawed system of trying to solve problems with never solving the problem. It's the worst attempt at solving problems for the world, for given environments such as nation states. It's a horrible attempt at attempting to solve a problem. Historically, it seems like one of the greatest attempts. You got two opposing sides, and they're supposed to work together to find the middle ground. But inevitably, you just have one side that undoes what the other one did. And then the next time they come into power and they start trying to do stuff, and the other team fights them. And then they do a little bit of something. The next administration comes in and undoes what they did. And then they fight over some small little things or big things or what have you. And then it repeats for centuries. It repeats. Then one good time, one side will come in and accomplish something that is subjectively amazing, and they'll have a legacy built upon that. And then the next team will come in and smear that and say, but they didn't do this. And it's a back and forth. It reflects high school more than anything else. But it's the attempt to solve world problems. Who said that was supposed to be easy? So it's not something that I would like to do, although I probably would enjoy it. I'll probably make a great lobbyist. My ability to rationalize will definitely be a great and useful asset. But yeah, those who enter politics or those who are going to war, it has the same ramifications. There are levels of cruelty that you need to be able to put up with in that sector. That's my thoughts. Do we control technology, or is technology controlling us? We control technology because technology did not make us. We made it. So that means somebody had to program technology. Technology does not think for itself. We program it. Hence why they can't program morality, because we can't understand morality. It's why Tesla is struggling. It's why Apple will struggle with self-driving cars. Everybody trying to get in the game. Ford trying to get in there. Mercedes trying to get in there. Porsche trying to get in there. All these different companies that have all these resources available to them, trillions of dollars, billions of dollars at their disposal. They're trying to program morality. They can't do it. So when it comes to control, we have to constantly go back to the beginning and realize who programmed this device to do anything. Because by itself, it does nothing. And if anything, it does what it's told to do. It does what it's programmed to do. It's kind of like an animal. A lion does not murder. A lion kills. And it has a set of about 3 or 4 reasons that it kills for. It does not deviate. Lions do not kill because somebody stole their purse. Lions do not premeditate murder. They may plan in terms of logistics, in terms of 1 + 1 = 2, but a lion does not kill because of something that happened last year, that got on his nerves or embarrassed him. No. So animals operate off instincts. Humans operate off instincts and morality. Animals don't have the choice. They have one default setting. Humans have choices, free will. So when it comes to technology, we have to constantly just remember that no matter how smart AI gets, there's a quote that I retweeted on Twitter, and it was referring to someone who said, "I don't fear artificial intelligence. I fear artificial emotion." Facts. That's the last thing we need is someone with art or something walking around with artificial anger. How do you program that with self-control? We don't need artificial cops walking around the streets, artificial military personnel, on the battlefield. Artificial emotion, artificial morality. Good luck. There will be nowhere to hide if these type of technologies come out, in their unfinished state. Oh, there's a beta cop going around pulling people over. Good luck. So yeah, we definitely control technology. There's some people that are attempting to, with the best of intentions, create something that is comparable to a human and the way our thought process works and how we can choose between right and wrong, although that's heavily subjective. It shouldn't be, but although it is, God forbid we have something released on the market that attempts to cover those grounds that humans struggle with daily. So that's my take. I like this question. I heard Tim Ferriss use it on his podcast. If you could invite anyone, living or dead, to dinner, who would it be and why? This is almost too easy to answer. It was one of the first times in my life I've ever had to address the death of a celebrity, and it hit me so hard. Kobe, hands down. Close second, Ravi Zacharias, also passed away in 2020. There was a statement that I made a while back, and I had to retract it. And the statement was that I'd never get starstruck, and it's an outright lie. Outright lie. Because if I started looking at the people I follow on YouTube or podcasting or Instagram, I would immediately be exposed to be a liar. If I ever met Kobe in person, I would probably cry. Because again, I have a lot of role models in my life, a lot of people I looked up to, a lot of people I admired, but Kobe always existed in that place that is probably closest to my father, my biological father. Kobe exists in that place that is a very close second, meaning one of the people I grew up watching, people that I grew up just admiring, like I want to be like him after my father. He looks like my father. He resembles my father's demeanor. I grew up watching my dad play basketball. I grew up watching my dad shoot threes the way I do now. I grew up watching my dad teach the way I do now. So in a lot of ways, me and my dad are very similar, and that's why I admire my dad so much. But Kobe was always that person that exhibited that discipline and the way he lived his life and passionately, and he was so angry, towards winning. And of course, hands down, Kobe will be the first person on my guest list as far as someone I can sit down and just pick their brain and I would bring my list of questions. Good Lord, I can just speak to. But yeah, Ravi Zacharias will also be on there. Rest in peace. Great philosophical mind. I mean, I can't think of anyone who represented Christian apologetics as he did. Imperfect person, just like anybody else. I'm sure that I know there was some controversy, concerning him and whatever. I don't want to get into that, but a lot of times we always look at the person, and their flaws, but we just kind of completely dismiss all the good they did. Kobe came up with some charges. Apparently, Ravi Zacharias came up with some charges, and we just dismissed their entire life work for the one moment of weakness, the one moment of humanity, of lack of judgment, wisdom, what have you. I'm sure that same day will come for me where, God forbid, I get caught up with some foolishness and all the good I tried to do is overlooked. Happens to the best of us. Your day may come where all the good you tried to do is completely overlooked, dismissed for one moment of wrong judgment. So, if that's how we want to live, well, all of our days are coming. One day it will be your turn to take your L publicly, shamefully. It is what it is. But great question, Kobe, Ravi Zacharias, Eric Thomas will be on that list. Who else? Who else I want to meet? Patrice O'Neal will be another one. Rest in peace. Died of diabetes. I think in 2019, 2018. He would be on that list. Just a very interesting mind to listen to. He had very interesting observations, of this world that we live in. So, and of course, I'm mentioning mostly people who have passed, but there are plenty of people alive that I would love to sit down with. Russell Westbrook, Giannis, Antetokounmpo. I'm even gonna mess with his last name. People that play like Kobe, Russ, Giannis. Who else? Those type of mindsets, those type of archetypes. Greatness. They play with anger, just as Kobe did. So, yeah, great question. We're gonna wrap this up. Coming up on 2 hours. I definitely enjoyed this. You think Americans can find peace with each other soon again? Yes, easily, Kev. It's probably only can happen one way, and that's with tragedy and destruction. It's the only way humans can get their life together. It's the only way we can get perspective is with mass deaths, mass trouble, mass destruction, natural disasters. That's the only way humans tend to get on the same page with what really matters. By getting rid of all the self-generated chaos that we like to create and just insert into the world. As soon as we get something real that we had to deal with, then all of a sudden life just comes back together and things start to make sense. So tragedy, which is unfortunate. Yeah, that seemed like the only thing humans respond to. And of course, I include myself in there. I don't want to talk like I'm above people. What else we got? I'm going to skip this question, but I will acknowledge you lavishly, Jen. My thoughts on the Capitol. I have no comments. What are your... Matter of fact, I have no comments. What are some things you had to unlearn? My approach to women, for one. Absolutely amazing. The things I've had to learn via experience, just simply based on getting wrong information from the women around me, from some of the men around me, getting wrong information and trying to act upon it and seeing that this doesn't apply to the real world. It's weird how if you ask a random person, how do you have sex with a woman? not in terms of the actual mechanism or like the actual act, but how do I get a woman's interest? How do I get her attention? And they gave you a list of things. Be nice, be kind to her, tell her she looks nice, hold her hand, open the door for her, plan a date with reservations. Let's say you did all these things itemized perfectly, just maximized to the perfect level. You will realize that the truth, the red pill, if you will, that there are certain things that just don't apply. Most of those things would be nice, that it would make for a nice date. But if your end goal was something other than just a nice, pleasant evening, and then we say our goodbyes, shake hands, and go home, you walk away disappointed, as I did for many years. For many years, I thought, wait, just if I'm just nice and I'm just a nice human and I don't ask for anything, I don't touch, I don't approach, I don't bother anyone, I don't slide in DMs, I just mind my business and just stay over here and say, excuse me, miss, please be nice to me. No. It's sad to acknowledge, but I've had to do the opposite, and I found it to be 100% effective. Doing the opposite of what I've taught. Do the opposite of what I was taught. It's wild. I'm not even getting into details and all that, but hopefully a lot of you can feel my energy. You feel me. It is what it is. And sometimes what people respond to is different than what they are attracted to, if that makes sense. Like, to put it simply, there's a difference between arousal and attraction. What I'm attracted to on paper may not be what I'm aroused by. The two different valves, two different pipelines, two different things. So there's some cars that are effective. They're just getting me from point A to point B. There's some cars that are more efficient. Then there's some cars that are a joy to drive. And it's an exhilarating experience. That's what I found to be dating. It's something I had to unlearn for many years. And in a lot of ways, I'm still learning. I've read a ton of books on the topic of just unlearning some of these things I was taught that said, this is how you achieve this. This is how you gain favor in these different areas. And they didn't work. And I had to unlearn those things and say, no, this is the reality of the world you live in now. This is the truth about males and females, other and what have you. So, very short answer, because I could make a whole video on that, but won't be doing that. Good question. I'm gonna wrap this up. How many questions we got left? If you really want your question answered, pop that junk in the super chat. Otherwise, we might have to cut it short. I'm gonna be skipping a lot of questions I just don't want to answer, because we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and I want to cut this short. What else we got? Derek Reed asks, are you reading any books right now? I reread 48 Laws of Power a couple times a year. I'm currently reading that. I don't really have any new books. I have a ton of books in my Audible that I haven't read yet. But yeah, in terms of new books that I'm just anticipating or just actively reading, nothing outside of 48 Laws. I just constantly hit that one. How much control does a person have over their life in the Air Force? As much, their free time. Anytime that's not controlled, you have control of that. So the military controls your work hours for the most part. And then obviously you're on 24-hour call for the most part. In most cases, being military contract. So there's that reality, but your free time is yours. What you do with it matters. And how you plan it determines your effectiveness and efficiency. Is everyone's life equal value? I asked this question on Twitter in terms of, is your value as a human the same as your value as an employee? They're two different things. Typically, your value is based on the problem you solve in a given environment. A boat, a jet ski, center console, fishing vessel, if it's on land, it has zero value. Unless it's during a hurricane. Of course, we don't make rules for the exceptions, for the minority of occasions. In most cases, if a boat is on land, it has zero value. A basketball in LeBron's hands versus a basketball in my hands, that ball has way different value. As good as I think I am, I probably give Bron buckets right now on me. Let me shoot for ball. But we have two different paths currently. Also, he's 6'8", 250, 260. I'm 6'2", 220. Two different values. Again, I still give him buckets. But no, the ball is not the same value in his hands versus mine. A car, there's a different value of cars. There's a hierarchy that builds automatically that a Ferrari is worth more than a Ford Focus. There's a reason why you don't turn on TV and see Ferrari commercials. They're solving two different problems. A Ferrari is not solving efficiency problems on the road. You don't buy a Ferrari for efficiency, for gas mileage. You buy it for pleasure, for leisure, for status. Two different reasonings for why they are here. You look at me versus someone else. Let's take a popular YouTuber, Kyle God or Wild Blue Yonder, whatever. We have two different values. It has nothing to do with YouTube. It has to do with the problem that we're solving. So we may make similar content because we're both talking about the same branch of the military, but it's two different values in terms of the problem that we solve. So in a human, in most cases, in probably all cases, with 0.00001 exceptions, such as the Hitlers of the Mao or the Stalins, small exceptions in terms of a human's life, because if you're taking another's life, you have a negative value. I don't know. That's a gray area that we don't want to mess with. But in most cases, humans are valuable equally to each other. But the second we start to dissect categories and the niches that we enter as human beings, how we're able to apply isms to each other, there are breakdowns that are different. Someone who employs 50 people is different than one of the 50 people that works for that one person. You have different values because you're solving different problems. I create 50 jobs. You are a job. You work for me. We have two different values because we're solving two different problems. It's a very sticky issue. A lot of people don't want to think that way. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge the fact that we can have two different values. I'm not saying you're worth less as a human, but as an employer and your employee, we're different. I'm a staff sergeant in the United States Air Force. My value is probably less than one of a general. I don't make the rules. It's just solving different problems. They get compensated differently. So it's just a different way to think about it. If you think about the parts of a car engine, this is probably how I think about it most often, is that the flywheel is equally valuable as the spark plugs in the internal combustion engine. If you take one away, the whole thing tends to fail. It's a single point of failure in most cases, that you need all the parts to work properly. But they are different. Equally valuable, yet they are different. They solve two different problems. So the car may be able to run without a tire, but the tire kind of helps with the whole system. If you take the spark plugs out and you leave 4 tires in place, you're still not nowhere. And if you do, you won't go far. So it's just a different way to think about it. Equally valuable, still different. Different problem. I like the question. I'm going to skip your last question, Daryl Green. Appreciate you. Brother Air Force just deployed out to the UK. Any advice on their culture? Never been there, so I do not know. All right, we'll wrap it up there. I am grateful, everyone who tuned in, everyone who came to watch, those who asked questions, those who gave their comments, concerns. I'm grateful. Thank you for watching. This is my last full day in Miami, in Florida, and so I'm definitely enjoying myself. This setup took forever, all morning, for me to get together. But yeah, definitely enjoyed this video. This video will be one I'll probably watch back a couple times. But I'm grateful to everyone, Daryl Green, Mystery Man, everyone who asked a question, a quality question. It makes this even more so enjoyable for me to be part of this type of dynamic. I love doing Ask Me Anythings. It just makes it more interactive. It makes it more fun. Instead of just bringing one single topic to talk about and then, kind of ignoring the comments. This makes it more fun for both of us, at least, that we're able to interact for however long. So this has been fun. It's been fun. I will see what's good for y'all. And y'all have a good. Say what's good to your boy.